All right, we'll make this more dramatic. As you can see, we got a new, as you will see, or maybe you just saw, we got a new picture on the screen. That's the new book. That's from the first chapter with all the family trees. Then after this, I'll work on the Shiva and Sati story. Now we're going to start Dhruva's story. The story of the child Dhruva. It's a very, very interesting story. Let me just check and see if anybody's there. Yeah, anybody there? Got some contradictory information from YouTube. People seem to be there, but nobody's saying anything, which is unusual. Anybody out there? Well, I think you must be. Yeah, and I'm just going to pretend you are. All right, so we're going to begin this story of Dhruva. Dhruva's story is particularly interesting because it illustrates how an impure motive can still give you the pure result if you have some luck. And the luck is that if you have the right attitude towards the people who are pure, and then you accept help from them. So that's the thing. An impure motive, even in spirituality, can give a pure result if you have the right motive, if you have the right attitude towards the people who are pure and you accept their help. I'm not sure. I can't see chat today or something. Nobody's saying anything. Wait, now I see tons of them. I just saw it. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Now I'll just put it back in here. Well, that doesn't work. Let's pop it out, then I can see it. Okay. So, let's start this story. Oh, this is chapter 8, by the way. I think I mismarked it on the title. Having finished his explanation of why Sati bore Shiva no children, Maitreya then continues to describe the descendants of Brahma. Who's that? Several did not develop families because they prefer to direct their energies to higher things. These were the Sanaka quadruplets, Narada, Ribu, Hamsa, Aruni, and Yati. So, remember we're talking about the descendants from Brahma, and then how he made Shatarupa and Manu, and then they made all these children. He said there were several. It was Sati. He makes a note now. Maitreya says Sati's not the only one that didn't make children. There were others. Thank you, Bardo. There were others, and these are the others. The 4 quadruplets that Brahma originally made, the first ones that he created. Then Narada, then these 4 others, Ribu, Hamsa, Aruni, and Yati. And then he said, there was also a line of descendants from Brahma that were destructive or corrupt. And now he's going to describe this one extra family tree, actually, that maybe I could have put into the book that I did before, but it's just this one extra family tree of the corrupt descendants of Brahma. So this is a daughter named Deceit. I don't even put the Sanskrit words in here. I should. This is a daughter named Deceit, and she marries a man named Adharma, or immorality. So what happens when lies marry immorality? Then you get a child named hypocrisy. So lies protect immorality. They act in two ways. They're going to get two children. One is a boy named Hypocrisy, and the other is a girl named Fraud. I think the boy is more extroverted, so it's Hypocrisy, and the girl is more introverted, so it's Fraud. But that's what lies working with deceit will produce these two things, fraud and hypocrisy. These two children were kidnapped. This is like there's no honor amongst thieves. So they're kidnapped by another kind of evil figure, let's say, by Niriti, the goddess of Mula. Niriti means no law, anarchistic or lawless. So lawlessness tried to take away hypocrisy and fraud from Dharma and from Adharma and I don't know her Sanskrit name, deceit. From lying and immorality, she tried to kidnap them. She has no children of her own because she's Niriti. Nir means like without things. And Rita can mean wealth. Now, hypocrisy and fraud then give birth to a boy named Greed. So they're another one, this brother and sister who have kids with each other. The other one was Yaksha and... Oh my God, how do you forget her name? Dakshina. Dakshina and Yaksha. Dakshina and Yagya. They were brother and sister. But Dakshina and Yagya were Vishnu and Lakshmi. And then they were socially separate. They weren't treated as brother and sisters. This one is just common brother and sister. So hypocrisy and fraud give birth to a boy named Greed and a girl named Shamelessness. Greed and shamelessness give birth to a boy named Anger and a girl named Hostility. Anger and hostility give birth to a boy named War and a girl named Slander. Slander and war produce fear and death, who produced retaliation and annihilation. This is kind of interesting stuff. If you have hypocrisy and fraud, you're going to get shameless greed. Like strong desires that you'll pursue in any way. There's no holds barred. That's shamelessness and greed. And then when you have shamelessness and greed, then you get hostility. When you're not governing what extent you'll go to accomplish to fulfill your desire, then you get hostility. And you get anger. And when you have hostility and anger, you're going to get two effects. The male effect is war, and the female effect is slander, which is the female type of war. So you'll get slander, which is like the subterfuge or the subtle way of trying to destroy somebody. And then you get the overt way of trying to destroy somebody, which is warfare or attacking. Slander and war produce fear and death. Naturally, right? Slander creates fear, war creates death. Fear and death produce retaliation and annihilation. From death you get annihilation, from fear you get retaliation. Very, very interesting stuff. Then Maitreya finishes by saying, it is important to know the basics about this dynasty of destruction. By hearing 3 times about this dynasty, we purify ourselves of these bad qualities. Well, we heard twice. Let's hear the 3rd time. One of Brahma's descendants was destructive, deceit, the wife of immorality, had a boy named Hypocrisy and a girl named Fraud. These 2 children were kidnapped by lawlessness, Niriti, who has no children of her own. Hypocrisy and fraud gives birth to a boy named Greed and a girl named Shameless. Greed and shameless give birth to a boy named Anger and a girl named Hostility. Anger and hostility give birth to a boy named War and a girl named Slander. Slander and war produce fear and death, who produce retaliation and annihilation. So there's your chart. And how do you use it? If you're troubled by one of these things, like maybe you're troubled by anger or maybe you're troubled by slander or something, you just look and see what is the parent producing it. And what's the parent producing that? And you start to try to avoid the parent and the grandparent, and then you'll slacken the presence of the thing that you're troubled by. So if you're troubled by anger, well, anger is produced by greed and shamelessness. So work on those, put those down. Try to identify those in your life, then you won't be so angry. Or if the other person is being angry at you all the time, it's because of greed and anger. Greed and shamelessness is affecting them. Let's try to help them with that. Okay, let's see what we got over here. Ayush says, last time you described 14 forms of Rudrani in August. Bhava and Shiva were two different masculine types, but here you used Shiva and Bhava interchangeably. Are all of them the same? Well, there's 11. There's not 14. That's it. So they're not the same. They're different. It's just like your hand is not the same quite as your shoulder, but they are the same. They're parts of one thing. So they're expansions of Rudra. So you can address Rudra as any one of these names. Any one of the names of the 11 Rudras works for any Rudra. In that list, the wife of Bhava is put as Ambika, because Ambika is actually the permanent wife. Sati killed herself, and when she was reincarnated, she became Ambika, and then went back to Shiva. Aren't annihilation, Samantha asks, aren't annihilation and liberation similar? Yes. Similar. Because they're both getting rid of things. Yeah, that's another interesting thing of this whole entire family tree. The whole family tree is incestuous. Is the root of all of these avidya, or ignorance, of certainly. Okay, now that's the little intro to Dhruva's story. Anil, what if you get angry when someone is bothering and annoying you? Well, of course you get angry when somebody's bothering and annoying you. That's like saying you get itchy from a mosquito bite. But you need to know, how do you avoid mosquitoes? So simply, the immediate cause of anger is somebody's bothering you. But why are you bothered by that? That's what you need to ask about. There's greed, and what was the other one? Greed and shamelessness somewhere. Think about it carefully. Think about what greed means. Think about what shamelessness means. You want something so much. Like, when do I get bothered by somebody? I get bothered by somebody when they get in the way of me. Like I'm trying to walk over there and you keep walking in front of me. I'm trying to get this accomplishment and you keep trying to distract me, or you keep trying to steal it from me before I can get it, etc., etc. That's what bothers people. I want the place to be quiet, but my sister keeps making noise. Then I get bothered. So all of the botherations are based on the wants. When the wants are so strong, they're called greed, a strong, strong want. All right, now Dhruva. Now Maitreya now turns his attention to describing the children of Brahma's son Swayambhuva Manu, whose children were fragments of Hari's fragments. So this is the same family now that has given us the three incarnations, Datta, Durvasa, and Soma, and also Kapila, and also Sati. So those three, famous children are from the three daughters of Shatarupa and Manu. Now we're going to talk about the descendants of the two sons. The two sons of Shatarupa and Manu. Shatarupa gave her husband two sons empowered by Vasudeva, to protect the existence of the world. So they got 2 Kshatriyas. A Kshatriya is, Chat means to break something, and Triya means to either to deliver it or to deliver from it. So a person who can break you is called a Kshatriya, or a person that can save you from getting broke is called a Kshatriya. So they're warriors, and what they do is they protect certain things by destroying other things. By giving Chat to the bad guy, they give Kshatriya to the good guy. And hence they're named Kshatriyas, and that's what the whole idea is about. And it's not, there's several subtypes of Kshatriyas, and there's several aspects to being a Kshatriya. It's not just martial arts. It's also politics and knowing how to administer things and enforce rules. So these 2 sons, Swayambhuva and Priyavrata, are the 2 main Kshatriyas that begin the human gotras of Kshatriyas. The others, the daughters, they produce Brahmanas. So now, Shatarupa gave her husband 2 sons, Priyavrata, whose promises are dearly kept. That's what Priyavrata means. This is one of the key points to being a Kshatriya or a warrior, is your vow or your loyalty or your oath. Okay? Just look in Japanese culture and samurai culture, you'll see. Or think of anything, think of a soldier. It's their oath, their vow, their loyalty, to follow a promise. So that's one of the key qualities of the Kshatriyas, and this child is named Priyavrata, the one who loves his promises. And then the other one is named Uttanapada. Uttanapada, which means he's going to go far. So another key trait of a Kshatriya is a lot of passion and a lot of ambition. They want to achieve things. That's what Uttanapada means. Now, Uttanapada, Dhruva's story, Dhruva is a grandchild of Uttanapada. So we're going to focus now on this family. Uttanapada had 2 wives, Suniti and Suruchi. Names are very important. Suniti means her principles are very good. Her character is very good. Good character. And Suruchi means her beauty is very good. Her complexion is amazing. Suruchi. So he's got 2 wives. One is Suniti and one is Suruchi. These are the 2 qualities in women. The character and the appearance. Uttanapada is very ambitious. He wants good women. So he gets the 2 best from the 2 good qualities. He gets Suniti and Suruchi. Suniti, whose morals are impeccable, and Suruchi, whose beauty was impeccable. Suruchi, which one do you think he liked better? Suruchi was very dear to her husband, and not the other one, or her child Dhruva. So typically, the typical male, especially not a Brahminical male, but a Kshatriya male, a macho male, they don't really get attracted to Suniti as much as they get attracted to Suruchi. So here's the story is saying this man had 2 wives. One of them was the moral, great character, great personality, as we say these days. And the other one is great looks. And he really liked the one that was great looks, not so much the one that was great character. And that attitude that he had towards the women affected his attitude towards their children as well. Once the king sat Suruchi's son Uttama on his lap and played with him. Suruchi's son is Uttama. And the king has got Uttama on his lap and he's playing the boy. Dhruva is the son of Suniti. Dhruva is the son of the good morals. Dhruva means patience. So basically, Suniti means to have a lot of patience. And the Uttama means to be the best, the noticeable one, the famous or high, and that's the product of Suruchi, great looks. So king is playing with Uttama on his lap, la 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 la, and then Dhruva comes over, he wants to play too. Dhruva tries to climb up, but the king didn't welcome him. Seeing her co-wife's son struggling, Suruchi spoke hatefully to Dhruva while the king listened. So you see the scene, the king's got one boy in his lap, the boy from the other wife comes over, and the king says, oh, leave me alone right now, I'm playing with Uttama. And now Uttama's mother sees this, and she calls, actually she speaks right in front of the king. She's going to say this hateful stuff to her co-wife's son right in front of the king. So this is showing you the king has got a huge flaw. He's going to tolerate the insults to one child. He's going to repent for that later, but little boy, she said. Now you guys. Little boy, she said. You don't deserve to sit on the king's lap. Yes, child, you are the king's son, but you're not my son. I did not hold you in my tummy. Some other woman fostered you. Of course, you don't know about this, and that's why you're trying to achieve the impossible. If you really want to sit with the king, perform austerities to worship the Supreme Person. Only by his mercy will you attain the goal of being born from my womb. This is so funny how these high or correct principles get adopted by people who are crooked. So what she says is, you're not qualified to sit on your father's lap because you are not born from his favorite wife. I'm his favorite wife. You're born from somebody he doesn't pay that much attention to. So you don't know about this because you're just a kid. That's why you're trying to do something that's impossible. But look, I'll give you some advice. If you want to be as dear to your father as my son is, then you have to become my son. Sorry for you that you're born from that woman. You have to become my son. And if you want to become my son, that's no easy task. So you should worship Bhagavan. Because by worshipping Bhagavan, the impossible becomes possible. It's gross. Now, let's see. How does Dhruva feel? Now, he is not a wimpy kid. He's the child of Uttanapada. So he's a passionate, ambitious Kshatriya. He's a warrior child. He's not going to be like, Mommy. He gets really, 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 really enraged. Rent by the cruel words of his mother's co-wife, Dhruva hissed like an angry snake stuck by a rod. But his father simply looked at him and didn't say anything. Then he broke down in tears and went to his mother, because he is, after all, a boy. When Suniti saw her child's lips trembling in anger, she embraced him. She became sad to hear what happened and what that woman had said. The more she thought about it, the more her beautiful lotus face dried up like a vine in the fire of grief. Losing her composure, she also began to weep. Seeing no way out, she could barely breathe. Darling boy, she said, don't wish evil upon others. So this is now you'll hear the words of Suniti, a person who's not beautiful. Her primary quality is not beauty. Her primary quality is character. Now hear these words. How does she react to an insult? This other woman was so hateful and spiteful with no provocation whatsoever. In fact, with the provocation to be just the opposite. The provocation was to be sympathetic. Any normal person would have been sympathetic. But that's how a person with pride in their external opulence behaves. Now see how this woman called Suniti, the good character, how does she work even with the provocation to become angry? She says, darling boy, don't wish evil upon others. I know right now you're wishing that woman was dead and this boy was dead. Don't wish evil on others. Those who wish ill to others only suffer themselves. Suruchi told you the truth. What she told you is true. You were held in my luckless belly and nourished by the luckless breast of a wife who is not loved by her husband. My darling, you should follow your co-mother's advice without hating her. It's good advice. She said, worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Beloved if you want to sit beside Uttama. That is good advice. Let's follow it. She employed a play on words so that sit beside Uttama also means attain the highest goal, because Uttama means the highest thing. If you want to get up to the highest platform, then you should worship Bhagavan. But talking to her little son, she used this play of words because right now all he wanted to do was get on his dad's lap. This was a blessing on her son. She did not want him to strive for foolish goals such as becoming loved by the crooked hearts of vile people like Suruchi and Uttanapada. She wanted him to attain the very highest goal. She knows that actually trying to dedicate your energy and effort to being loved by evil people is not going to bring you happiness. Your father is messed up. He's so externalized. He's messed up. Why should you make so much effort, dedicate your life to getting your attention from that man? It's not going to bring you happiness. Your co-mother there, your stepmother, she's messed up. Don't try to be a person that she would love because that would make you messed up. But she's right. You should worship Bhagavan to get the highest goal. But the highest goal is not just to get loved and get on the lap of these people. Instilling confidence in her boy and in the paramount goal, she explained the importance of worshipping the Supreme Beloved. She says, unborn Brahma worshipped his lotus feet by disciplining his breath. As a result, he received his supreme position of mastery over all the powers and qualities in the universe. Similarly, your blessed grandfather Manu worshipped him with singular focus by holding ceremonies and giving away great wealth and charity. By that worship, he achieved worldly pleasures that are otherwise impossible to attain even in heaven, and then gained the ultimate emancipation. My boy, definitely take shelter of him. He is affectionate to his dependents. Even those who seek liberation carefully seek his lotus feet. Fill yourself with nothing but adoration for the Supreme Person. Make it the essence of your very being and fix your heart on him. My child, only he can destroy your misery. Everyone else, including Brahma, searches for the beautiful goddess of fortune who holds a lotus in her hand, but she herself searches for him, whose eyes are like lotus leaves. Hearing the profound and effective words spoken to him by his mother, he made up his mind and abandoned his father's house. Wait. Just a second. What's this? Good. Yeah, Marie, that's not the stuff originally. It was not from the moral wife. That was from the beautiful wife. Now, I know I don't want to stop, but we will stop. The next, so that's amazing. How old is Dhruva about? He's about 6 years old, as far as I remember. Maybe the detail's going to come somewhere. He's like 5 or 6 years old. He's a little boy. Excuse me. He's now going to leave. He's going to run away from home. He runs away from home. He leaves the palace and goes to live in a forest. Because he wants to worship Bhagavan by filling his heart, by meditation, contemplation, by devotional meditation. That's incredible that a 6-year-old guy could do that. What's his motive? His motive isn't that he wants to love Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the love for Bhagavan is the tool that he's employing. The motive is he wants to get back at his evil father and evil stepmother. So his motive is like revenge. Or what's another word for revenge? Vindication. Vindication maybe is more accurate. He wants vindication from this insult. And he's turning to Bhagavan for that. So that is not a pure bhakti. That's a bhakti that's mixed with like Rajaguna or Tamaguna. But because he's going to meet, the Narada Muni is going to hear about what's going on with this grandchild. And he's going to go to kind of try to help him or give him some advice. And because Dhruva has a good attitude towards Narada, he's going to be benefit from Narada. And even though he has a bad motive in his bhakti, he's going to actually purify that bad motive by Narada's guidance. So you'll see what's coming next. Any other questions there? I like how you guys are like shocked. How can the Bhagavatam have a story that's so disgusting? How can the woman? How can she do that? It's shocking. How about this is the child of Brahma? Like this is Manu's child. How does this happen in Manu's child? Yo, if this happens even in Manu's child's family, of course it's happening in Detroit. Of course it's happening in Brooklyn. Of course it's happening, in whatever town you're in Portugal. It's going to happen everywhere. That's the point. These things, these mistakes that we make of having our priorities wrong, and then the ego that arises from that, and then the foolishness that arises from our addiction to things that give us pleasure. The king is a perfect example of what Kapila was illustrating about the human being that goes down towards hell. But he's so obsessed with how great his beautiful wife makes him feel that he completely favors her over his moral wife, and he completely favors her children over the children of the moral wife to such an extent that's disgusting. Well, it's dramatized in a Purana, but this is basically the way that all of the problems are happening in the world. Miss Vinay asks, how did the virtuous wife get married to the king in the first place? That's a good question. I don't know that story. Did she not know his character until it was too late? I don't know. She may have been attracted to his character, which is to try to achieve great things. Because to truly try to achieve great things, you need niti. It's actually, Krishna said in the Gita that the only true victory is a victory based on niti, which means like trueness or moral, for integrity is a good word for it. Integrity. So she would be attracted to him. He would be attracted to her as well. But over time, he starts to neglect her. He was in Aries. I wonder. There's going to be a good ending, though. Don't worry. All right, guys. So I'll see you tomorrow.